Yes guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be going over the trade recap from yesterday that secured me around a break-even day or just as slightly in profit. So let's get straight into it. Time is currently 7 AM, so it's pretty early right now. It's not too early, but I'm pretty zonked out if my voice sounds kind of croaky. There's daily time frame, daily bias. So what can we see? We can see that we've swept all-time highs. So NAS is currently at all-time highs, same with ES. However, looking at the most recent imbalance, ES has tapped into a daily bullish gap. Therefore, I would be looking for a more bullish bias for today. However, Nasdaq hasn't tapped into that bullish imbalance, so Nas could be looking bearish as well. Therefore, we're going to have more of a neutral bias for the daily time frame. But then looking at the 4 hour, the 4 hour is currently inside of a 4 hour bullish gap, and so is ES. So my 4 hour bias is going to be bullish. Now looking at the 1 hour, the 1 hour is also inside of a 1 hour bullish gap, and so is ES. So my 1 hour time frame bias is bullish. So now going on to the 15-minute time frame, we're going to mark out all key draws and liquidity. By marking out session liquidity, you can actually see the directional bias of where price wants to draw to. So on this chart, we can see that we have an Asia highs level on NQ, but we don't on ES. Therefore, we have a higher time frame, bearish SMT. So we're going to mark that out right now. Now, because of that SMT, it should drive price lower. So let's see what we get coming into the macro, which starts at 9:45 New York local time. So just like that, the London lows draw has been met. So this SMT becomes irrelevant. Now, what also we can see is that London lows got taken on Nasdaq and hasn't been taken on ES. Therefore, we have a bullish SMT. So following my overall bias of the 4 hour, the 1 hour, and the daily time frame, which is neutral, I'm going to be looking for a more bullish bias. So right here, we can see that we've had a sweep of a short-term low on ES and no sweep of a short-term low on Nasdaq. Therefore, we have another lower time frame bullish SMT, which is just another additional confluence for price to go higher. And SMT is not compulsory in terms of confluences, but it definitely does add confirmation to the trade to make it a high probability. So there we have it. We've got a market structure shift higher. However, when I was looking at this trade, we had just swept the New York opening price, and that is another key draw for liquidity. So I was very iffy about this trade. Now, I was confident about it, more confident than I would be about other trades, but just from the directional bias of the trade, and we had only just swept the New York Open, and I figured it would drive price lower back to the fair value gap so we get an entry and then push higher. So therefore, because of that one confluence going against this trade, and I believe we were also trading into the 5 and 15-minute opposing bias, so the 5 and 15-minute time frame was also against us. This would be a B plus setup. So just off the first presented gap, I'm going to be taking longs. And there you have it. So I took longs just off this 1 minute bullish gap, targeting London highs. Then I would reduce my risk. I wouldn't be going break even, but I'd be reducing my risk at this first short-term high. So let's see what we get for this trade. So there we have it. This trade got straight round through, and you'll be able to see that it continues to just chop about. So no matter what situation it is here, even if you were to look for shorts at the New York opening price, you wouldn't have even got tapped in for anything. So as you'll be able to see, the second macro was just chopping about. It was terrible price action. We've got this short-term low, which has not been swept out on NQ, and we had a clean sweep of minus sell side around 40 minutes inside the second A macro. So I was still running a bullish bias. We had a sweep of short-term low on ES, therefore another lower time frame bullish SMT. Now I'm simply looking for a market structure shift higher than this short-term high on both NQ and ES. There we have it. We've got that. So let's see if we get an entry for price off this 1 minute bullish gap. This has appeared to run without us. However, we do have another upper 1 minute bullish gap that we can take an entry off. It's looking quite big, even though the stop placement is valid. the risk to reward, I want to capitalize on this risk to reward. So what I did was I waited for a 50% tap of the range using an optimal entry of the Fibonacci tool. So you drag it from the highs to the low, mark out 50%. So that would be here. So I have it spot on. We've got a clean displacement on ES and a fair value gap. And this trade is also paired with this breaker block to the left. So let's see if we get a tap on this gap. We've taken that first short-term high, however, we've then tapped into this bearish imbalance, which caught my eye before I was break even on this trade. So it should respect every bullish imbalance up until final TP. So let's see if we continue. Alright, there we have it. So now price has just taken out this short-term high. So therefore, I trailed my stop to this short-term low. Now once price takes this short-term high, I'll then be trailing my stop to this short-term low. And there we have it. We hit final TP just there, and we literally edged it. If I was trading NQ, it wouldn't have hit that point. But I trade micros, so prices are a little bit different, and this is the one time it's actually been on my side. I'm actually really surprised I got filled, because usually sometimes I either get stopped to break even when it didn't hit that point on Nasdaq, or I don't get my TP hit on micros when it hit it on Nasdaq. But in this case, it didn't hit it on Nasdaq, but it actually hit it on micro Nasdaq. So there you have it, boys, and then you can see how price just literally dumps off, and it was crazy. But yeah, we hit that trade inside of the VIP group. Some students took the same trade, and we're able to capitalize off these gains. So if you want to get inside, link in the bio for one-to-one mentoring and watch me trade live each day.